Hello, hello, and welcome back. Tonight we go over some spooky history. Have you ever played with a Ouija board? Have you ever been told not to play with a Ouija board? Personally, I say do not fuck with the Ouija boards, but have you ever wondered where the fuck did the Ouija board come from? Who invented this? Is this some ancient Sumerian practice? Is there a reason we have Ouija boards? Did the game board people just invent this like in the 90s and we just think it's this big crazy thing? Like, who did this to us? Who gave us the Ouija board? Why is it around? So we're gonna learn that tonight while I hunt around this area. In the Wastelands of Fallout 76, we just finished creating a more roaches. Yep, more roaches. Why am I stuck on a roach? Yeah, a little baby roach. I wish you could stomp on them. Anyways, so tonight's lineup will be, I'll go over the history, and then I have 2 spooky stories, and then 1 demon that is super associated with the Ouija board. Or 1 possible demon. So, and motors, cool. And the plants, great. Ooh, he was. He had a garden in here. And the heating coil. And more duct tape. Another roach? Jesus. Okay. Now... seriously, I gotta go back to Ella's bunker. Find a heating coil and... okay. So the history of the... oh, I've already read all these. Okay. Of the Ouija board is actually American history, which I was pretty surprised about. I didn't think we did this, but apparently we Americans... we did this. So it all started back in like 1890 something, maybe 1880 something, with the Fox sisters. And they were 2 twin sisters who claimed that their house was haunted and that they could actually speak to the spirit and get a response through like knocking and clapping. And they would like move away and stuff. But this was kind of the era and the big kickoff for the American spirituality era, I guess. Spiritualists were already in Europe, had been happening in Europe, and so this is the kickoff for the Americans. So in the Americas, you had a bunch of people. So this is like the end of the Civil War. You have a bunch of soldiers who never came home and that their families never even got to know what happened to them, just because let's go to Ella's bunker first. Just because they if they weren't marked, there was nobody there to find their family. They didn't know who they were. They just, if you're an unmarked soldier, you're just fucking getting buried and hope your family just knows you just died in the war. That's how it went. But these families were desperate for answers, and so this is kind of how the spirituality thing got so big. So many people wanted to talk to their loved ones. Now, when people would go to these spiritualists, it was a very slow process. It was like, does your name start with a B? And then you wait for a knock. And then, okay, does it start with a D. You like wait for that, and it's so slow, so fucking tedious. So, that's when somebody created the actual, you know, the thing you put the teardrop thing that you put your fingers on the Ouija board. They invented that first and had a pencil and wheels, and so everyone was able to hold that, so the spirit could write themselves. Okay, and then another guy kind of perfected that a little bit, and he like made felt, and he put like the little he made it a little smaller, a little more compact. Oh, excuse me. And okay, what the hell, did I come the wrong way? Heating coil. Got it. Alright, just in case. So then in the late 1800s is when a toy company called Kinnard Novelty Company came out with the whole board, and they called it a reading board, where they put the letters and the numbers and, you know, the yes and the no. Pretty much what you see today. The designs never really changed, and with the planchette, that's what it's called, a planchette. And they so they come out with this, and first they're calling it a talking board, but they realized that's not catchy. That's not, these people were not spiritualists, by the way. These people saw a money opportunity and they were like, whoo, we gotta jump on that. So Kenneth calls his sister and he's like, hey, come over here and let's name this thing, okay? And so she's like, yeah, okay. So they all get together, and have I found this place yet? No, but I found this place. So they all get together, they're sitting around the board, because there's like 4 owners to this toy company, and it spells out the name Ouija. So this is the spooky story of how the paranormal named the board for them. Now, skeptics will say, well, was it that? Or she was wearing around her neck a picture of a woman who lived back then, who was like a feminist and a writer, and her writing name was something French that sounded a lot like Ouija. It was like Ouija. And then so a lot of people are like, well, did they just like, was she just subconsciously trying to spell that name and wrote the wrong name? Or misspelled it somehow, and this is what happened. So that's your skeptic story. So then you also have to patent it, right? So you have to prove that it works for it to be patented. So what they did is they went to the patent office, and the guy was like, okay, if you can guess my name and spell it right, then I will know this works. The spirits will tell us what my name is. And they were like, oh, okay. So they all sat around, and they had their lawyer come in, who was a patent lawyer, and he also sat. And they were like, okay, here you go. And it got the guy's name right, and it scared the shit out of this guy. He's like, oh, take your fucking patent. Whoa, that's fucking freaky, bro. So then there's a spooky side to that. Obviously it works because they got a patent, right? So it works. Well, skeptics will say, was it that, or was the guy who just, worked with the patent office, oh, it's just a mongrel. Knew something bad was gonna be there. Or did the lawyer who worked with patent offices just know this guy's name? Like maybe this guy didn't recognize him, but maybe he knew the names in that office. But I'm gonna go with, that's a lot of maybes there for you skeptics. That leaves us in the same place of, does it work or does it not work, So now they have their patent, and they're able to go big. And they start putting out ads for it. And just a couple here or there, like in New York, some around. And they keep the ads very simple. It's very much just like, oh god, super mutants.
My head.
Oh, I dropped him. Crap.
Going to be a good
Oh, great. Put two together. Good job, Belinda.
human.
Damn it!
Let's get close, human.
Okay. Respawn. At least I found it. So just respawn at it. Respawn. Okay. So, they keep their ads simple so it stays mysterious. It's the mysterious board, you know? And it sells like hot cakes. I mean, they went from like one factory to a shit ton of factories all over the country. Now, some of these people some say that because they built this and they started talking to the other side, that they actually ended up cursing themselves. Personally, because like one fell off a roof, one lost his fortune. But others are just like, well, you know, shit happens, and they became super rich. They ended up selling to Hasbro the rights so that it's super richer. Oh, and they also have turrets. God bless it. All right, is there a back door I can go in? So yeah. So now you fast forward a bit, okay? And spiritualism kind of dies down, like a lot, you know? By like the 70s, nobody's really a spiritualist. Nobody really talks about it, you know? But The Exorcist comes out, and that scares the ever-living piss out of people. It was like the scariest movie of its fucking generation. And, it played off the Ouija board, that the little girl played with the Ouija board, and she invited a fucking demon. And so be careful Ouija board. So then after that, so while early in the Ouija board's life, even Christians really weren't coming for it like that. They were just kind of like, oh, yeah, whatever, spiritualist. After this situation, they were very much like, well, you're opening doors to demons. You know, don't mess with Ouija board. Demons are coming out of it. You don't know. Why would you bring that in here? Just need to kill two. No, just let me kill him. Let me kill him. This dog got me. So yeah, that's when the kind of Ouija board panic started, and where Christian groups really were like, nope, don't fuck with Ouija boards, don't do it. They were trying to get stores to stop fucking selling them. You know, it's a gate to hell, and all that stuff happened. So now you have today's Ouija board, where some people use it quite seriously, others just get them for shits and giggles, and that's the history of the Ouija board. So now I'll give you two scary stories. Okay, I'm going to kill you. Die this time. Don't howl. Don't howl for help. Just die. Oop. I don't want any of this. Okay. Now I think I can just go back to my shelter. Start to crafting. Oh, well, I'm gonna have to come back here because I have to craft them first. All right. We will now fast travel back to the shelter. On camp. There we go. Okay, so the first story, and I got these off of a YouTube video I saw. People had like written in. Okay, so first is a story of college friends. And apparently they thought for shits and giggles, they were in their dorm, just do a Ouija board one night, you know? And they actually start getting responses. And entity says its name is Ray and that it's 4. And then they hear a bang and they get freaked out and they kind of like end things, you know, like, oh shit. And so they then, a couple days later, the main girl goes to sit at her computer and she feels a burning on her back. And she continues watching her shows on the computer thinking like, oh, okay, it's probably like fucking nothing. But she would learn that it was actually, she decided finally that the burning was just too fucking much, like, and she really needed it to fucking stop. So she called her friend over. She's like, can you look at my back? Like, something's fucking, and they found 3 large scrape marks down her back. Then the next story, so this group decides to go to a cemetery and do this. And so while they're doing it in the cemetery, they're not getting much, but they do end up, they hear something and they turn around and a woman is standing there in like 1800s regalia. And they're like, what the fuck is that? So then they fucking run because the lady starts running at them. So they're like, shit. And they even just leave their car. Like, they just fucking book it home. And they're like, we'll get the car tomorrow. Go, go, go. They come back to the cemetery the next day and their car is gone. So they're immediately like, oh, well, it was obviously fucking towed. So call the tow company. Tow company's like, no, we don't have it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, cool. So I guess we'll just, we'll call the cops. Maybe they picked it up. They thought it was stolen or something. Cops like, nah, we haven't never seen that car. Then he says he even went to DMV, which I'm like, I don't know what DMV would do, but DMV's like, nah, nobody tried to sell it, no, nothing. It has been 20 years since this happened, apparently, to him, and he still has never seen that fucking car again. So either this was like the world's best carjacking, or the ghost fucking took his car. Then you also have the demon Zozo, which apparently you can even just summon him by saying his name. So I'm kind of screwing myself here because I do believe in this stuff. But there are a bunch of accounts of him coming when the Ouija board is being used. Like, very specifically, he comes with the Ouija board, and people have multiple accounts of like getting sick after contact with him, people dying after contact with him, or just car accidents. Just tragedy seems to follow this entity. And okay, so I could have used mine. That's fine, whatever. Dun, dun, quest items. Upgrade the motors. Okay. Wait. It. All right. So, it is believed. Now, some people believe that Zozo is his own demon. Some people believe that Zozo's just a name that or what can be understood of demons, like any demon coming over is using this. Some people believe it's just entities in general. They just kind of want to fuck with you, so they're going to use a name that they know will scare you. And then the skeptics of the world believe that this is actually just, because some people are like, oh, thousands of stories. But in the age of internet, you can also use the argument of all it really takes is for one person to tell their story and then someone else to kind of start building off that story. And then it kind of becomes just a phenomenon, you know? There's also a thing in psychology where like there's muscle movements we do that are just so undetectable. It's pretty much our subconscious doing it. Like, our brain doesn't register it because it's just so minute and unimportant to it that's just like whatever, but it's happening. And they think that this is something that happens is like we're not registering that we're moving the planchette, but our muscles are. And that's why you'll get things familiar, like the story of Zozo, or like that woman saying, oh, it named itself Ouija, or was that her just subconsciously spelling a name of a person she admired, you know? So yeah, that's the history of the Ouija board and a couple scary stories that come with it. I personally am under the impression of don't fuck with Ouija boards. Like, just don't do it, okay? You think you want to do it, but you don't. I personally do believe once you open a door, it's just more of like opening a door. You don't get to say who comes through. So while you may want to talk to Grandpa, it may be Zozo, and you don't want that. So I just say don't open doors. You know, just let it be. And that's my opinion on it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what else you want to hear about, what else you want to learn about. And I will try my best to summarize it up for you. You guys have a great night.